thing is like I do learn something about do not forget a little things in life. If you forgot
Mm,
about little things in life, that's it. You cannot go
nice.
back.
Hi guys, welcome to Taxonomy Podcast. Tag me there. In today's episode, we have a special guest with us. Fadhli is a seasoned senior product designer with a remarkable journey in user experience. In his dynamic career, his passion for mentorship, and the intricate balance of business and design. So this episode promises inspirations and a lot of valuable lessons from the tech and design enthusiasts out there. So without further ado, let's dive into the conversations. So welcome, Fadhli.
Thanks a lot for inviting me to this podcast that you have. So just a brief introduction about myself. My name is Fadhli. I'm a UX designer. I have been 9 years experience in visual designers, and then after that, I convert myself into UX designers since 2020. That's all about me.
Thanks, Fadli. So I think before we dive into the first questions, so I think it would be good to also share a bit more about your experience working with various startup founders, right? So pretty much you have a lot of areas in working with them, as well as product owners. So probably you want to spend a bit of time explain on this.
Yeah, sure. Regarding about my experience with startups owners, it's not just from technology. Actually, I started from a startup company which called MegaFash. It's an e-commerce website doing most likely fashions. So it's quite a new thing for me when I started out. Back then, there's no such thing as UI UX. There's only about visual designers. So what we do is like we use Photoshops, we design for in user interface in the Photoshops, and after that we prototyping it in the PowerPoint. That was old school back then, and now we have Figma, we have Adobe SD, we have Sketch. Everything is much more easier than what we have done previously. So now, right now, I also work with Hyperlab, where we actually working on about digital twin. So back then, when I was in Hyperlab, I was the one who actually created the software from zero to one. It's something that is a very complex systems of software for digital twins. You actually encompasses of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and 3D environment. So how does the digital twin works is very complex in terms of like try to understand how are we able to capture data visualization that actually real life capturing from the IoT devices, from the robots or the machine itself. Then from there, the user actually able to have a data-driven decision to make on what is to be improved on either need to be maintenance or either need to be change of sustainability or either way need to save up a few costs that actually which allow to save up your business profitable.
I see. I mean, you definitely have a wealth of experience in the space of product design. But just curious, what was the triggering point? What is the key that allows you to unlock your interest, right? That triggers you to actually explore even further into user experience.
Well, to be honest, then when I was in City Neon, I do a design that actually got related to human-centered design. Human-centered design, as in like a structured design. So when we create structures such as events or booth or exhibition, we need to understand about human-centered to ensure that there's interaction. But back then, it's not even a digital interaction; it's more to physical interaction. So that's how I triggered to be much more interested in terms of a design come with a purpose. My ex project manager, Billy, he was the one who introduced me about UX and also user interface. Back then, we doesn't know anything about UI UX at all. And to
Mm.
be honest with you, Singapore was quite new and it's like very fresh. And that's something that we never realized that such thing existed. But to compare with US, they have been mature for quite a long time already, since 90s. So for us, it's very new. So eventually, I dive into these courses called Human Factor Incorporations, where I took on a lesson of certification for UX analysts. That's where I start to learn about UX. I start to learn about user research. I start to learn about different methodology. I start to learn about process. I start to learn how does a user interface actually combine with cognitive science to make it into a better interaction for the people. in terms of like their daily usage of maybe application, software, or website.
I see. So actually, in the space of product design, I understand a lot of the designers or owners, they emphasize a lot on user experience. But this has been always a buzzword, right? Widely
Mm.
used around various, across the industry, right? But how would you actually, I mean, elaborate more on the use of user experience, and then how do you basically, ensure that this is being put into practice so that the users, right, basically using the products, get to experience the best experience. So what would he be experienced to be categorized under a good user experience?
Actually, okay, to be honest with you, not everyone understands that what is user experience supposed to mean. So user experience is a big words, but user experience UX itself actually a biggest name of umbrella for user research and user interface design. So it break into two parts and then it become a UX. So how can we actually understand what is UX and how important is UX actually to the business? Let's put example such as handbag from Louis Vuitton, all right? So
Mm,
why people want to buy Louis Vuitton bag? Why is it so expensive? Why is it like so good that they actually need it? It's not only just the brand, but it's also the quality in terms of the material that they use, and in terms of the craftsmanship that they use, and in terms of the user human-centered design that they have been emphasized on for since long time ago. For
mm,
example, let's say if the bag does not have a zip, if the bag does not have a handle, then it just become only fabrics. So it's useless. In terms of they try to understand how does the human works and how does the human actually use the products. That's what we call user experience.
mm,
That's what is actually aligned to the user experience. For example, another user experience can be explained in two types of things, such as cognitive science, facts, mental model, and conceptual model. So right now, I give you another example. For example, let's
mm.
say you want to withdraw cash in ATM machines, right?
Yeah.
That's your mental model. Right now, you're thinking like you want to withdraw cash in the ATM machines, but
Mm,
then how do you actually withdraw cash in the ATM machine? That's another part which is transaction model for such thing as like you need to insert the card, you need to tap on the button saying withdraw cash, and then after that you need to tap on how much amount of money that you actually want to withdraw. That is the transaction model. So in terms of these processes and methodology, it is quite important to understand what is user experience. And user experience is not just aesthetic, but it's actually the function that actually align to the user. And who is the user is not us. For example, let's say we are the one who create this product, right? We don't call ourselves as a user because that's a bias, quite bias
mm,
for us. So what person should we call a user? The person who actually use the software or the mobile app or the website that is actually called the user. So for
mm,
example, let's say right now I create something like a website. Okay,
mm,
how do I know does this user actually know how to use my website? Okay, there's a process for it. Of course, let's say for example, like for me, I will start off something like a card sorting. So why I need to do card sorting? I need to have a proper name and label for the navigation for every single part of the company in the website, so that the user actually knows what is this for and where does it go to. And then after that, I tried, and then after card sorting already done, three testing need to be done. Three testing is basically we need to test the architecture information, whether
mm,
does the information architecture align to the user? Do they understand? Like, so for example, I put about, but then in the about, I put about the product. So it's a bit misconception for the user, right? So when I spoke about, it must be something about the company itself, about what they do and what is their mission, what's their goals. Um, that's also another thing, part of the important part when we want to build a website. Then after that, we start to do low fidelity prototyping, and then after that, we do usability testing. In usability testing, it's not only just to observe the user, but of
mm.
course, it actually combined with a few metrics that you need to be calculated on. So one of the metric that is one of the most common one is task success rate. Task success rate is basically you create a task for the user in the
Mm.
usability testing. So you need to see whether the task is accurate or not.
Understand. So is this something that you recently actually tested out and then you actually shared on LinkedIn, right, with a user that you bumped into on the street to actually get him to try out certain workflow?
Yes, actually that one is what we call it guerrilla testing. So what we do is this is quite interesting story. Um, I have a project where we're doing some augmented reality mobile
Yeah.
app. The problem is that we do not have the budget to recruit user. So what
Mm.
we do is we go down on the field, we bring the prototype, and then after that we just ask a few of the users. I mean, like any people out there just walking around or just hanging out at the area, and then after that we just ask them, hey, would you like to do some tests with us? And then of course there's a rewards for it. You see, the thing
Mm.
is the keywords is rewards. When you say rewards, people were willing to do it, right?
Mm.
But
Yep.
if you say like just help us doing something and stuff like that, of course they will be very hesitant to do it because the thing is you are capturing data, so you need to respect the person who actually involved in this testing. So
Yeah.
when I did on-site guerrilla testing, so I have a few metrics that already planned out, strategized in terms of what kind of metric that I want to find out. So
Mm.
in terms of the field guerrilla testing, is also meant for observations. So what we do is just observe how the user did it, and then we record down all the data that we need. So it's a very simple thing, but of course, how are we supposed to moderate is very not quite simple because the thing is sometimes we may lead to a different type of questions such as like normal UX designer would know about this. Leading question is something that is biased, allow user to be following what you said. So we try to avoid that. As a human, it's very hard. It takes a lot of practice to do that. For example, maybe you need to click that button. That's a
Mm.
leading question. Means you lead the user. So rather
Yeah.
than saying that, you should ask something like, do you like to share with me what actually you are trying to face or what actually you're trying to do over here? Or it's more likely a generic questions. Try to
Mm.
understand more about them. Yep.
Mm.
It's quite cool. It's quite cool. It's quite first time I did guerrilla testing, and it's quite fun, and the weather was quite nice.
Yep. I see. I mean, product design is important, right? User experience is equally important. The design and the user friendliness in terms of overall experience. But when you were to actually work out a software product, right? Definitely it's just not about how good the product is, right? I mean, how would you usually say that it relates back to the business objectives, right? I mean, how often do you guys do review? What are the user like the usual practices in the workflow to align the business objective as well as ensuring that the product design have a market fit, right? Product market fit, right? So
Mm-hmm.
is there any workflow that you are practicing?
Back then, when I started with a software, normally what I did is market research. In
Mm.
terms of market research, it doesn't matter that you are UX designer, you're not supposed to do market research. It's only for marketing. No, UX have to cover everything. Okay, no
Mm.
matter what. What I did was market research. In terms of market research, I try to understand who is my competitor, who is my indirect competitor, and who is the user actually, and what is the background of the user. So
Mm.
from there, we're able to know how does this actually align to the market itself, and is there any demand on the market. For example, let's say if we find this software, actually there's a few $1,000 is actually imbued to just for these products, then it should be a very good market. But of course, it's depending on your comparisons based on the different types of the competitors and different types of the markets. Then from there on, we need to start with a user interview. So why user interview? It's not something that, oh, a product manager must do user interview. Oh, a product owner must do user interview. But the thing is like when you do user interview, do you know what's the purpose of user interview in the first place?
Sorry, just to cut in. So, I mean, when you
Mhm.
mention about purpose, right? So, who would actually decide on the purpose of the product? Is it more on the business or on the project or on the product side?
To be honest with you, for example, in terms of decision of the product, it's supposed to be on the product side and
Mm.
also align to the business. Let's say if you have a team of business intelligent, right? Okay, our market is good, and this is something that we need to focus on. Then the product team must at least work along with that kind of method that work along with that results that actually the business actually provided. Then from
Ah,
there, it's our task and duty to go much more deeper into it and
mm.
research about it.
Yep.
So how we work is basically it's not like by ourselves. We need to work as a team.
Mm.
So just to understand, in terms of the methodology called agile. Okay,
Mm.
agile is a work as a team, but everyone is self initializations. So meaning you must be have that kind of ownership mindset to set up yourself that hey, the business already give me this, so I need to go much more deeper into this. It's not like you need to wait for someone to tell you that hey, product team, we have this, so you need to do this. That's the wrong way to do so. So the business only can provide you the informations and
Mm.
the opportunity that we can focus on. Then the product team need to extract that information and the opportunity and might go much more deeper, and then after that execute that. So that's how the flow is supposed to work. It cannot be something like I'm the product owner, I decide. No, that's not how it's supposed to be done. A product owner or product manager can be influenced to the team. They are not supposed to be the one that actually um, telling you what to do, telling you this must be done this way, this must be done that way. Most of this team, they have their own specializations. Okay,
Mm.
so a
Yeah.
product manager, product owner specializations in terms of managing and also in terms of business and in terms of marketing, they are specialized in this. For example, okay, there's two type of things.
Yeah.
UX, they focus on the user. Product
Mm.
designer is focused more than your user. So a product designer is actually like a best friend to a product manager. Okay.
Mm.
So and then developer, they have their own mindset also. They have their own thoughts. Like for example, they know what is technology feasibility. They know this can be done, this cannot be done. So of
Mm.
course we must have a teamwork to among each other to make sure that the product actually can grow. When I say teamwork, right,
Mm.
not everyone can be in a team. Okay?
Mm.
Different people have different perspectives. But how can we ensure that everyone have a team? You need to have a very good communication. But communication wise can be also not quite visualized uh, into conclusion. So
Mm.
this is something that I experienced. So what I
Mm.
did is a very simple, just do a US workshop. It takes only 2 hours or 1 hours. What I did is a very simple mapping, user
Mm.
story mapping. Then after that, I ask them, so does this align to the business? Does this work to the business?
Mm.
And then from there, we drop down to the feature scoping. Okay, so what is the use case actually facing? So the business told me like so and so and so and so they're facing this and this and this. Okay, and then the technology. How can we actually use the technology that to help them to assist them to make sure that their life is much more efficient and productive? So the technology advice. So we can use this and this and this and this and this. Then after that, I start to list down the feature scoping. Right, to list down the feature scoping. In the end of the day, we start to vote. And then after that, everything is done in 2 hours, 3 hours. Simple
Mm.
as that. So rather than the last time when they have used to have something like a 6 hour speaking, still haven't get conclusions, there's still uncertainty what to do next. In 3 hours, you get conclusion, you get the results, you know what to do, and you are moving forward. So that's how actually works very fast.
I mean, that's a very long and takes a lot of experience to actually work it out. From my own experience as well, I think it's not something that is quick or easy fix. It takes a lot of people to work together, right? And ensuring
Yes.
that there's a common alignment and direction between each and every team. Yeah, okay, cool. So one of the interesting question that actually pops up in my mind is, because UX would be something that would be very relevant, right now, because a lot of the products are going digital, going online, right? And then there will definitely be high demand, right, coming up, which is already currently the trend, which I think something that I could already felt coming in from Indonesia, right? They have a very
Mm,
strong supplies of product manager, product designer, right? Focusing on UI, UX perspective. But from your experience, right, going through so much with startups or even your own ventures, what are some of the key tips that you will actually share in terms of, I'm a fresh grad, right? I just graduated from university or any institutions,
mhm.
right? How can I basically put the UX theory into practice to ensure that whoever I work for, right, gets to benefit, right, from my knowledge into actual applications for their products?
So okay, what I can spoke of is basically those who actually aspiring to be UX designers. My first advice is before you even apply to that job, make sure you do a research on that products that they are working on and what they are actually focused on. When you start to do research and you start to understand the basic fundamental of it, then from there you're able to know what you are working on. Another problem that most I have seen in based on my experience when I'm working with some juniors, when they just graduate, then they just join the company, they're not so sure what to do next. So, for example, luckily I was there with them, not trying to say that I'm a savior or whatsoever, but let's say if they are alone, they are the only UX in the company and they're not so sure what to do, that will be quite troublesome for them because they don't know what's supposed to make sure that this product actually works. The first thing first, I can advise to them, please try to learn more about the methodology. Please try to learn into deeper about the process and try to practice it. Okay, you cannot just rely on just one or two methodology. For example, let's say you only know how to do competitive analysis. Then
Yeah.
after that, you only know how to do card sorting, then usability testing. It never be enough. It never be enough because certain situations depending on what kind of methodology and processes, and certain situation depending on what kind of approach that is being needed to be used. For example, for me, I really love to use KJ technique. KJ technique is a very good technique that actually used for brainstorming with a team. We just make one topic. Everybody have a sticky note. So what they do is they write down their ideas. So for example, let's say we have a one user story, which is one of the problems that we need to solve.
Yeah.
Then each of them have the stickies and then they note down. And then after that, they paste on the wall. Then after that, quietly, there's no talking, there's no discussion. Then after that, they will have a sticky note, round sticky note to stick and vote. So the higher the vote means is the thing that we're supposed to focus on. But of
Nice.
course, after that, it's also depending on the dependency of the features that we actually try to solve. I mean, I really like to use that because it's much more easier and then much more efficient because the thing is, end of the day, you got conclusions in terms of like very short durations rather than you have a few other methods which is may take a longer process. So like I said, this methodology and process, you need to think. First, you need to counter whether the timeline is feasible for you. Another
Yeah.
one, you need to counter whether this actually able to help you to solve the problem. And another one, you need to really, really understand what is the problem that you want to solve. So these three things you need to make sure to take note of. If you do not have these three to take note of, you might be using the wrong methodology. For
Nice.
example, like software suddenly use something like a tree sorting or card sorting, which does not align to the software because software doesn't need to use card sorting. Software need to use other process because it doesn't work the same as website, and sometimes it doesn't work the same as mobile app. So it depending on what kind of product that you are working on. So you need to understand what kind of process and methodology that you're supposed to focus on, which is why that it's best for you guys out there. Please try to learn and get deeper and practice on this process and methodology as much as you can before you proceed into the real world.
I see. So, I mean, all this takes a lot of homework, right? A lot of efforts to actually work this out. I mean, even if they get a chance to practice it on actual digital product, like what are some of the industry standards in terms of measuring the success metrics, right, to
Mm.
the launch of a product? Because I can always launch, right? I mean, one easy way to measure the success is by adoptions or by the generating revenues. But apart from that, what other key areas or factors for product aspect will be a lot more important to measure?
Well, to be able to measure properly, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of usability testing,
Mm,
of course, every single type of design that you guys work on, or you have a prototypes, or let's say you cannot be in prototypes, you have to be in something like a lean build. You have to be tested with a user as much as you can. You have to be tested because if you don't test, then there will be another issue.
I
So
see.
For example, let's say if I don't test this feature, suddenly when it comes to the launch, then user feel, you know what, I don't like this feature. I don't understand. I don't want
Mm,
to use this feature. So
mm,
eventually it become a drop-off rate. That will be very bad for the business. I know some people might think like, I gonna waste a few $100, a few $1,000 on UX. But the
mm,
thing is, um, what is the return for the business? Well,
mm,
what I can say is, to be honest with you, if the UX are properly trained and properly understand the process and the methodology, so the return will be much more bigger than what you actually invested on.
I
So let's
see.
say if you invested 100, you can gain 1,000. If you invested on 1,000, you can gain million. But let's say if you don't invest on this, what will happen is you will actually lose a lot. There will be a lot of problem, a lot of risk management that you never accounted on, which actually causing you a lot of problem and waste a lot of money. And for example, in the end of the day, you have to pivot, you have to be redesign back, and then after that redo back, and then rebuild back, and then it all costs money, and also not just cost money, it also costs times.
Yep. Yeah, I think time is the most valuable assets that most startup or software company cannot afford to lose, right?
Yep,
Yeah, because I mean that's something that you can never earn back, right?
correct.
No matter who you are. I mean, one of the key tips that probably you would give to any product owners or business owners who probably right now face some challenges in user experience or in their software product.
You see, the thing is, UX is not something that you cannot be learned. And UX is not something that you should learn making like maybe 20 to 20 years. Then after that, you are professional in UX. Actually,
Yeah.
everybody can learn UX, right? I mean, like, for example, as a mentor in ADP list, I have a few mentees who are not even from designer background. They actually from civil structure, they actually from aerospace engineering, data analyst, or even nursing, and even chemical. To be honest with you, UX can be learned and can be taught. And if let's say the business owner out there doesn't have the budgets, why not you take the lead on the UX? Why not you take out some lesson on the UX? Especially for Singaporean out there, it's like we
Understood.
have skill future credits. So what you can do is you can actually apply for NQC Learning Hub, some of these lesson US certifications where you can actually learn about UX. In terms of design wise, I mean, design, you does not need to be very fancy design. You does not need to be very nice design in the first start of your business when you're trying to build something like a beta or something like a very lean product, um, or MVPs, for example, minimal viable products. All you need to do, make sure that it's functional, make sure that it's usable enough. Then from there, you actually gain some budgets for yourself in terms of business when you already have a few user retention or user adoptions to your products. Then from there, eventually, if you feel like you want to upgrade more, you want to improve more, then so basically you can hire some designers. For example, there's also like freelance out there actually working on UX design.
Mm,
It's not that quite expensive. It's still affordable. Uh, I mean, the best part is, of course, you must make sure that it's a focus group. uh, I mean, you must own your own designers, which is better because it's much more focus centric rather
mm,
than a freelancer. I'm not saying freelancer is bad, but
mm.
if you want something more focus and much more commitment, a designer in your team will be great. Because the thing is, if you have designer in your team, they are much more have this mindset of ownerships. Because their mindset will be something like, if I build this product much more better, wouldn't it be beneficial for the company and also for myself?
Yeah,
Because
they portfolio for themselves as well.
exactly. It's not only just portfolio, but let's say if the company grow, won't you
Mm,
feel that you will be growing also?
yeah. I mean, as a mentor on ADP leads, right? I mean, what makes you want to contribute forward, pay it forward to act as a mentor to all the younger generations or people who aspire to be a good product designer or UI UX designer?
Well, to be honest, then when I started off as a designer, I was lucky enough to have a mentor. Okay,
Mm,
my mentor, his name is Ike Anand. Until now, I still contact with him. He's something like a role model figure for me. So
mm,
when I started off as a designer, I have this a little bit problem in terms of attitude of commitment of ownerships. So
Yeah.
I Anand is the one who actually polish me and make sure that I grow into a much more professional designer who thinking about business and also aesthetical visually and as well in strategy.
Mm,
So that's where actually I grow where I am right now. But of
mm,
course, why I start to do mentoring because I feel that some of them out there might not have the benefit or being lucky enough to have this kind of mentor that I used to have. So
yeah.
that's why I feel like it's best for me to be part of this ADP list to volunteer myself as a design mentor and to provide some advice for those who actually trying to be a designers. Because then in my era, then I used to have a few friends who actually with me studying as into a design. And to be honest with you, then until now, I'm the only one who actually saw survival as a designer. Most of them actually work as a police officer or some government, some office works, and totally
Mm,
change of industries. And it's a little bit sad then. It's a little bit sad to see that they actually does not stay as a designer. Because when we started off, we already shared with each other, among each other about our passions in terms of
yeah.
design and stuff like that. So that's how I feel like I need to make sure that the new emerging talents make sure they're able to succeed in terms of their passions, in terms of their dreams, trying to be a designers. But of course, being designer is not easy. Designers need to take a lot of passions, need to take a lot of initiative to learn and to grow.
Yeah, I totally agree because I myself I have received help from my own mentors as well in a very earlier stage of my career. Yeah, which is quite interesting. Right? One of my mentor was from Poland. Yeah,
Mm,
so he's also one of the guy who taught me pretty much how to manage their own career. Lah. So he's a veteran in the space of HR. He's right now executive coach for all the CEO or all the C-suites level right now. So I think his advice does help a lot and definitely helps to shape who I am today, lah, right? Yeah, so I think one of the key thing, I think apart from just mentoring, I think that's three key things that I picked up from my own mentoring sessions. Well, I think the first one is you need to be clear in terms of your personal development, right?
correct,
Because in terms of personal development, it definitely helps to build up on your career, right?
correct,
Then with the skill sets that you acquire through your own individual personal learning, that also help you to accelerate your pace in your career wise. So people actually look up to you, right? The business owner look up to you. So people start to gain more respect, right, for your own. Right. On the second is basically how do you manage your personal time, which is more for your own, right? That means each and every one of us, aside from just working, you also need to have your personal interest on your personal time. Like I prefer reading, right? I like to
mm,
run, I like to explore certain activities. So this is to
mm.
ensure that you have a healthy mind, right? That is keeping it clear on anything that you are trying to do. So the last one
Yeah,
basically on
I do, I
family.
do, I do, I do know that you did also
Yeah.
join this MMA, right? Then
Oh yeah, yeah. I was doing MMA as well as kickboxing for quite a fair bit of time. I mean, on a weekly basis, as much as I do, I try to find times to balance a bit on my schedule, right? I mean, that's also serve as one way to release stress, right?
yeah,
Yeah, when you can actually manage your own workload, the stress level that you are facing on a day-to-day basis for your work. Yeah, and lastly, I think which is the most important one, which is how do you manage your time and your commitment with your family.
correct,
Right, I think
correct.
family forms up the key backbone of everything, right? Is the foundations, right? It's the foundation
Yeah,
of your personal career. It's also the foundations, right, of the financial side, right? And in terms of your own interests, because that's where only
correct,
when you have their support, then you can do everything that you have in mind. I think that
correct.
is why this three area is something that I really picked up very well, and then it's still something that I try to devote my time. Of course, you try to find some balance, right? But it's always, there will never be a good balance because at different juncture of your life, let's say right now is the time to hustle, right? Then of course you tend to spend more time in your work, right? And lesser on your personal interests and skills, right? And then of course you still need to dedicate a portion of your time for your family. Because working 24 hours or 12 hours a day beyond that is not very healthy, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah,
And
cool.
yeah,
I think
especially yeah, that's true. Actually, to be honest with you, how actually we able to grow ourselves is actually most likely is with a family supports.
Yep.
Without a family supports, to be honest with you, you might go a bit astray. You might not able to focus on what actually you're trying to achieve. Family is always be the one, the root of the key of to make you self driven into a
Yep.
successful person, because
Definitely.
you want to ensure that you're able to provide them, you're able to make them feel much safer. You want to provide them a shelter. You want to provide them a comfortable life.
Mm.
Of course, that's how it's being driven in psychological into yourself, that you want to be successful person, and that's how you want to really want to get that level.
I see. Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. So I think right here we also come to the point of rapid fire. So one quick question, right? To drop on you. So if you were to given a supernatural power, right, to either travel back into time or ahead in time, right, into the future, what would you choose?
To be honest with you, then I would like to have time travel. The thing is,
Mm,
like, if I have a time travel, I should have chose a different modules,
mm,
different major instead of visual designs and illustrations. I
mm,
should have choose much more into technology, cognitive science,
mm.
or even something like interaction design. If I have that, maybe right now I already become someone who are much more veteran in terms of UX and in terms of product design.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I mean, if you let me choose, I will go back and look out for the 4D number that strike on last week and buy it yesterday. Okay, I think just one last question. I think for you, Fadli. I mean,
Yep.
where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? I think everyone has a vision, right? Everyone has a plan. But where do you position yourself in the next 3 years?
Okay. This is a very tricky questions that I would like to answer.
Mm,
Um, First thing first, I can't say much where am I in the next 2 years, because as you know, I'm a Muslim guy, right? So I don't really able to project that, because of course anything happens to me in the future is leave to the hands of God. Um, but of course, if possible, someone that who are successful in life and also in regions, and someone who are also successful in terms of family.
okay. I mean, that's the key foundation. Here we go
Yeah,
back to
yeah.
family.
It's all simple. It's a simple ambitions, not really that quite high ambitions. Like I want to be a US manager or head of product design. Nah, I just want something simple.
Mm,
Because the thing is, like, I do learn something about, do not forget a little things in life. If you
mm,
forgot about little things in life, that's it. You cannot go
nice.
back.
Yeah, I think that's very important. I mean, why we actually run this podcast is also to ensure that, we can be as candid as we could possible be, right, in terms of what we are going to share. I think that's really one of the key valuable things that we want to actually share and, further advocate, right, in
Yeah.
these directions. So I
I
think,
just hope I just hope this part of sharing session able to help them, some of them out there who actually trying to create their own products or trying to build a products, because most of these people who are not quite sure where to do next, what to do, what's to be done, and what's supposed to be focused on.
mm,
So I really hope this podcast actually help them out, in terms of I try to understand in terms of user experience much more important in terms of into the products, because this is the only key for you to earn more profit, and this is the only key that for you to able to get a successful product.
I totally agree. I mean, thank you so much, Fadli, for having you with us on this podcast call. So, as we conclude, keep in mind that every entrepreneur started with an idea and determinations. So, take that first step, pursue your passion, and inspire others along the way. And thank you for joining us on Tech Me There. Until next episode, stay inspired and keep pushing boundaries. Ciao.